Well, hello everyone, Dr. Matthews here. I wanted to take a moment today and first off, kind of reintroduce you to Park University. I realize that some of you have never visited or had the opportunity to visit Park University. So let me just take a couple of seconds here to show you around just a couple of areas. In front of you, you see McKay Hall. That's the main administration building. The president is there, the vice president or the provost, as well as many of the other administrative folks are there. There's also classrooms in McKay Hall. We do several classes that are there, including some of the accounting classes and some of the computer classes. As we rotate over, you will see up here on the hill, Thompson. So in the Thompson's Common, or sometimes called the Thompson Hall, you'll find the cafeteria. There's also a little bistro in there, as well as a little area where students can kind of congregate, watch television, do some studying, or just kind of sort of hang out. There's also some other administrative offices in there to include student support. The campus public safety is campus safety is also in that building, and a number of other useful or student-oriented activities. All right, perhaps I'll have a chance to give you a better tour or more robust tour of the campus at another time, but my purpose in making this short video was actually to address our discussion question. So, the discussion questions that we had in our most recent discussion dealt with the right to privacy with regard to facial recognition. Now, several of you talked about the right to privacy in regards to facial recognition and that you felt it was being violated. I encourage you to review Katz versus U.S. So in that particular landmark Supreme Court case, it was determined that you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in some instances. When you're in the public domain, you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and so your right to privacy isn't being violated. If you're in the public setting and somebody's taking your photograph, then that's just you. In many cases, in some of the more private venues like a stadium or a concert hall or the theater or some of the other places, you may see signage that says you are subject to being photographed or videoed, or that you're under observation. Because you go beyond that point, beyond that signage, you have tacitly agreed to having your photograph taken or having your image videoed. If you don't want to have your photograph taken or your image videoed, then you don't have to go in. It's pretty much as simple as that. Kind of like TSA. You don't have to subject yourself to the searches, you just don't have to fly. Because it's not a violation of your rights, because you're in the public domain, there's not a reasonable expectation of privacy, so facial recognition, when used in that context, is not against the law and it doesn't violate any sort of privilege. There's lots of literature, there's lots of discussion about how long are the videos kept, what is it used for, and etc. One of the other areas that many people were concerned with was the compromise of the facial recognition with regard to banking and other financial institutions, things of that nature. Remember, before you're able to use your facial recognition to access your accounts, you have to agree to that. That because you agree to it, you also kind of adopt or take on a lot of the possible shortfalls of that. If you lose your phone, if you're using a mobile device, or you lose your mobile device and that gets compromised somehow or another, that's really not the bank's fault. If for some reason you download malware or ransomware into your system and your facial recognition information that's being stored on your mobile device gets compromised, that's not the banking institution's fault. I encourage you to read the fine print before you subject yourself to that, whether it's the facial recognition, the iris scanner, the voice recognition, or even, in some cases, fingerprint recognition. All right. The last thing I want to talk about was whether or not the international law could be enforced. Most of you correctly identified that the key way to enforce international law is through treaties and agreements. If you have a treaty or an agreement with another country and they adopt that, then we have like-mindedness, and so we're able to enforce those criminal statutes. Remember that all terrorists, by the sheer fact that they commit criminal acts, all terrorists are criminals, but not all criminals are terrorists. So in fact, those international laws, many of those international laws are simply criminal laws that are being enforced in a particular country. One of the other shortfalls, or one of the many shortfalls that the United States has with regard to enforcing such laws, is we don't have a national police force. Some of you might say, well, we have the FBI. The FBI, although they have national the ability to go nationally anywhere, they only have the jurisdiction to enforce federal law. So if they come into a county or into another state, the only way that they can enforce those federal laws is to adopt the, I believe it's USC 1392 uniform code that allows you to, special maritime uniform code that allows you to adopt in those state laws for criminal purposes or criminal prosecution purposes. We have a truck coming by, so it's going to take a minute. I'll just let them go by. And finish up. All right. So lastly, if we had a national police force like they have in Germany, the national police force that they have in Europe or the UK, national police forces you'd find in Australia, then it would be much easier for us to enforce some of those laws. But don't forget, we also have Interpol and Europol. Both of those are international policing agencies, and we are partners with them. Okay, well, that's the long and short of it. It's mighty chilly out here, so I thought I'd just very quickly say hello and let you know a little bit about Park and kind of address those things. If you have any questions, you have my email. It's ematthews@park.edu, or you can call me on my phone. It's in my office, and I'm going there in just a few minutes. Area code 816-584-6509. Hey, thanks a lot, and I will see you online.